Hi guys, and welcome back to Maltbox, the non-chill filtered whiskey blog. I'm Andy and I'm back here today with another whiskey review. Now the whiskey that I'm looking at today is a Scotch whiskey. It is not a single malt whiskey. It is a blended whiskey. It's actually a blended malt whiskey. It's from Compass Box, and Compass Box are synonymous with being the flag bearers of quality blended malts and blended whiskies. They've pushed the boundaries for a number of years. They were the guys that really kind of started experimenting and pushing for recognition that blended whiskey is fantastic in its own right. It's their latest core range release. And if I can actually get hold of it, it's this Compass Box Orchard House. Now, this was only released a matter of weeks ago in the UK. I think it's been around Europe a little bit longer due to varying distribution methods. But ultimately, again, I mean, look at that label. Before I even continue, that is just so pleasing to the eye. And I find that a lot of Compass Box it's effectively art on the front of a bottle. There's always such a lovely, aesthetically pleasing label on the front of the Compass Box. Now, I'm looking at my oak cross over there because there are quite a few bottlings in the Compass Box range. They are not one-trick ponies. You've got Oak Cross, you've got Spice Tree, Peat Monster, you've got the Artist Blend, Glasgow, Great King Street, things like that. And Orchard House, I'm glad to say, is entering into their core range, which I mentioned earlier. Now, they do a lot of limited editions, so it's really nice to see this. It is, because I always have a bottle of Spice Tree in because I love it. Oak Cross, again, love it, right up my street. And I saw this getting released and I was really excited. Now, the intention behind this is that it is supposed to be as it sounds. Orchardy, basically. So you can see on the label there's a lot of fruits on here. You've got things like peaches, you've got apples, you've got pears, you've got some blackberries, we've got some grapes on there, we've got some black currants, cherries, as well as a couple of bits and pieces like flora and fauna on there as well in the shape of wee beasties. Now, this is a combination of single malt whiskies that have been blended or vatted together, all matured in ex-bourbon, I believe, and a couple of refill casks as well. Now, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head the distilleries that go into it. I did have them written down, but typically I left that piece of paper somewhere else before I clicked the recording button. Ultimately, a lot of the whiskies that Compass Box produce contain some pretty core malts in there. One of them that might surprise you if you don't know already, Clynelish plays a massive part in the Compass Box portfolio, and Clynelish is such a fantastic distiller. It is amazing stuff. It's really nice to see them use it again and again and again. They also tend to use quite a lot of things like Tierninich, Benrinnes, and other places as well. Now, I believe that 3 of those that I've just mentioned are actually in this bottling, and onto the bottling itself, it's bottled at 46%, and it tells you here on the label, non-chill filtered and natural colour. Just above John Glazer's name there at the bottom, and I'm hoping that that is what you guys can see. So, enough of me talking. Onto the nose. Well, after we've had a look at it in the glass, a nice light, pale, goldy colour. That's all it is, isn't it? You can come up with all these things like I've done in the past, like Samwise Gamgee's hair, and other bits and pieces like that. But ultimately, they're all just varying shades of gold, if you want to be polite. Some nice thick legs just off the rim there, just starting to fall. That is exactly what I did the first time I opened this last week. It's just so charming straight off the bat, and it is exactly as it sounds. It is an orchard house. It is full of that green apple, that pear. You've got some vanilla in there as well, a little bit of spice, but it's lovely and sweet, but it's not overly sweet. It's not cloying, it's not sickly. It's really fresh. but without being sour and tart. It's just so nice and light. And don't take that the wrong way. That's not to say it's not rich. It is rich, but it's on the lighter end of it. It's the lighter spectrum. It's not sherried rich. It's not, heavy and raisiny with dates and figs and things like that, like Christmas cake. It's the opposite. It's more like a fresh apple pie. You've got a nice warm pastry in there. You've got your vanilla as well. A bit of brown sugar maybe. Oh. Already, I can just appreciate this for what it is. I can sit happily with it for quite a while. I made a glass of this last over an hour the other day. Just going back to it, taking a sip, having another smell, going back to nose it, enjoying the finish. And I just basically dragged it out. But it's also something that you could just happily just sit and drink and not have to think about too much either. It's a very multi-dimensional whiskey. On the palate. Great texture. Again, it's non-chill filtered, natural colour. And after that initial lovely hit of fruitiness again, you've got this lovely soft spice just warming up and just turning things up a notch. You've then got a bit of cinnamon and nutmeg coming in. You've got those spices intermingling. Yes, there is that apple pie filling again for me, I'll be honest. But I'm not complaining about that. I love apple pie. I really do. We have a pear tree in the garden, and I can't remember the name of the variety. I think it's like a French variety. And it just reminds me so much of those, like when they're ready, which is too late now. We got what we could off it, is what all I'd say. Crisp, fresh, but still incredibly, like, almost succulent, and then it's thirst quenching. It's just so thirst quenching, which is dangerous, to be honest. It's dangerous. This is dangerous stuff. The spices are continuing into the medium length finish, is what I'd probably describe it as. Bit of toffee on the lighter side, actually probably more caramel. There's some sultana in there actually, rather than the dark raisin. You've got a nice light golden sultana kind of thing going on. Oh God. Oh, yes. Just yes. Oh my days. Oh, sorry, just give me a minute. Oh, you've now on the palate this lovely fruitiness, almost like a wine, like a lovely sort of fruity, full-bodied, almost oaked Chardonnay. But then it brings it back to that sweetness with some more, sort of maybe like royal icing or something like that. You get on cakes, the rollable stuff, rather than frosting. And going into that finish again, yeah, the nutmeg's back, the cinnamon's back again. The vanilla's definitely there in abundance, which I quite like. Some people get a little bit bored with the whole vanilla thing appearing in every whiskey. But my God, that is good stuff. It really is. And it retails around 40 quid. That, to me, provides easily just as much, in fact, more enjoyment than a lot of single malts that I've tried this year, without a doubt. If you gave that to me blind, without trying it previously, and asked me to tell you what it was, I would probably have said it's single malt because of the complexities there. But that's not to say that it's not there in blends either. There's a reason that different distilleries are blended together, because you take the qualities from each one and stick them together and see what happens. You're going to get complexity. You're going to get engagement. You're going to get varieties of flavour, varieties of style, varieties of depth. And this absolutely delivers it. I mean, I'm actually just looking at the back. So, Orchard House gathers together some of the fruitiest malts Scotland has to offer, including whiskies from Linkwood, which is actually pretty well known for being quite a fruity-led whiskey. I always get apples on linkwood, and it's definitely in here. Whether it's been driven by the linkwood, I don't know, but I would assume so, yes. And Clynelish. What's more, we've sourced many of these whiskies as new spirit. That is the one thing that I forgot to mention at the start. So let's rewind a little bit. So Compass Box, obviously they don't distill or produce the single malts. They basically buy casks and then vat everything together. The difference here is that what they actually did is they bought these distillates involved in this release as new make and matured them themselves under their own conditions, in their own casks, under their own eyes. That's pretty cool as well. This is the first time they've done it. And what a success this has been. Honestly, it really, really is. Now, to the brass tacks, you could probably tell that I quite enjoyed this. So the answer's pretty obvious. Would I recommend this? Yes, I would recommend this. So much so, in fact, that after trying it, my first glass that I had, I bought another one. It's just common sense. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. It's a general release. No different to Spice Tree. You can always get Spice Tree. But my God, if that isn't good. My God, if that is not good whiskey. That is just an all-round good egg. Really enjoyable, really approachable. Something that you can sip quite easily, again, without thinking too much about it. But also, if you wanted to turn on it and start analysing it, there's easily enough to be getting on with. So guys, with that in mind, I'm going to box it off. Thank you very much for watching. I'm on Twitter at Maltbox. Sometimes I'm on Instagram at MaltboxWhiskey. I've also got the website over at maltboxwhiskey.com. If you'd like to subscribe, then please do feel free. It's always great to have you guys on board for the journey. I've been Andy. Still will be after this. See you soon.